Reaperman here, and tonight I thought I'd do kind of just a little bit of a chill gaming stream, and I'm playing Rush the Rock Alcatraz Edition, and this is from Midway Arcade Treasures Volume 3, the Gamecube version, because, oh wow, I tried the PC version and the PS2 version, and they ran this game terribly. So let's go ahead and pick a track. Let's do the easy track here. And let's turn off, no, let's keep drones on for now, and switch to, just advanced. So I've just really had the hankering to play some San Francisco Rush lately, and the reason for that is I have done something kind of apocalyptically stupid. And that's, I have purchased myself a San Francisco Rush 2049 cabinet. So that's also the reason I'm playing Rush the Rock and not Rush 2049, because honestly, the version is terrible on Midway Arcade Treasures 3, but also I really don't want to burn myself out on the game. I guess it's really not so terrible, it's just not as good as the Dreamcast version, and it has this really distracting thing it does where a lot of the game's transparencies have been replaced by things that are not transparent. But weirdly, it's got extra things that were transparent that I'm pretty sure were just all out missing from the Dreamcast version, like panes of glass, so that's just weird. Let's go for the shortcut down here that never works out. There's pretty much one shortcut on this level that I consider worth doing, and this is not it. So we will... Yeah, it popped me actually a little bit farther back in third place actually. And that was not worth doing. I've actually passed a couple other shortcuts though, at least a couple. The nice thing about San Francisco Rush is it's not just about a shortcut, because a lot of these shortcuts, especially in 2049, are compound shortcuts, where you take the easy shortcut and that really doesn't gain you any time, but then there's like a harder variation and then like a hardest variation, and some of those will actually save you time. Now there is a pretty sweet shortcut up here. Let's see if I can hit it. Nope. I'm terrible. I'm actually pretty good at going the regular track on this one now. Weird that I died. Okay, so there was another little shortcut up there that I forgot about, because it's the version of the shortcut that sucks, and the one I exploded on was actually the good version of the same shortcut. But we're actually just kind of just chilling out and playing San Francisco Rush. I play this game when I'm in one of two moods, basically. There's the hardcore shave seconds off of laps Reaperman, and he loves playing San Francisco Rush games because of how destructive the tracks are. But there's also kind of zone out Reaperman, and I doubt you're ever going to see him on camera, but he kind of follows the course and lets the game hypnotize him, and he turns the levels way up, like the number of laps, and he just kind of laps in a trance. And that's also kind of how I do the virtual racing as well, especially the 20-lap endurance races that are on the newish Switch version. I really love those 20-lap races, because normally you only get like 5 laps out of that game. So Midway Arcade Treasures here is not as well loved as the other ones, and it focuses on Midway racing games, but leaves out a lot of critical entries in the franchise. Ooh, like all of the cruising games, and yeah, it's just not so great. The games don't run very well now. This particular version of Rush the Rock, I've noticed, runs a lot better than my PlayStation 2 version of this game or my PC version of this game. And the PC version of this game I actually have on Midway Arcade Treasures Deluxe, and that is a later release than Midway Arcade Treasures 3, so presumably they would have had more time to fix things. but everything just runs like crap. Like there's audio issues and all that stuff, and that didn't do so well. By the way, my initials are Dave. Bet you can guess why. Alright, let's go ahead and actually let's just do the same track, but let's be a little bit more serious about it. Let's be extreme. Let's go for like a blue Extrema wagon. Yeah. Doop. And if we were really serious, we'd turn off drones. I don't have a keypad, and I don't actually know. The arcade has a way to turn on the 60 FPS mode, at least 2049 does. Not entirely sure about Rush the Rock. Confession time. I have probably in my life only put 2 races on this in a real arcade cabinet. I enjoyed the hell out of the N64 version of this game. It was probably the first N64 game I really loved. And unfortunately, it was the only one that I played. So N64 actually has both of the sequels. It has Rush 2, Extreme Racing USA, and that's N64 exclusive. It's also got a pretty darn good port of San Francisco Rush 2049, especially given the hardware. Obviously, there's really better ways to play that game these days, but considering at the time, wow, it pushes N64 hard. N64 is truly a great console for Rush games. And San Francisco Rush and N64 being the first game that I really loved, that's probably... N64 was such a bummer to me, and I never was into racing games before N64, but it was the only thing that I thought that console could really do well. Getting back to here, so I really didn't like Mario and I really didn't like Zelda, especially in their 3D form. It really bothered me that they were in the same genre on N64, and they are. They're basically the same game, a different coat of paint on the same game. And probably gonna get some hate comments for that, but I don't know. As soon as I heard Mario say, "It's-a me, Mario," I was pretty much done with Mario from then on, and no, that didn't go well for me. Yeah, I was pretty much done with 3D Mario from then on, and I don't think I've ever been into 3D Mario since. I haven't played any of the Mario Galaxies, which are on this system. I can't remember if they're on Gamecube or Wii. No, they're on Wii. But this is actually a Wii U anyway that I'm going backwards compatible on. By the way, if you haven't bought a Wii U, buy them now before they get expensive. They are awesome to mod. I actually got a pretty sweet Wii U setup that's in this briefcase, so I can take it down and back up again pretty fast. Which is good because there's 2 hard drives and they have to be connected in a very specific order, and it was just much better for me to put it in this briefcase because I actually have to hook my Wii U up about twice a year, and that's when I sync my Wii Fit U pedometer to it. And that's pretty much the only time I turn it on, so I actually had my first failed syncing this last time. The little pedometer died during the sync process and lost me probably 8 or 9 months worth of steps, which is a bummer because I was still completing my walk of Italy. Let's get around here. Yeah, like I say, there are 2 shortcuts, well, at least 1 shortcut to the left there, but I do not think they're survivable enough to try. So the music's just a little bit all over the place in the first Rush game. Whoa! But the second Rush game, Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA, and the third Rush game, 2049, they both have kind of an electronic soundtrack that I think works much better for this game. That's the other thing. The PS2 version of this score editor, it wouldn't let me use the analog stick to quick scroll like that, so it was a lot of clicking. Actually, I may be getting that mixed up with the computer version now that I think of it. Let's try a different track here. It's dangerous. Yeah, we'll go with this one. We'll still keep drones on because they keep me company out there, and if I screw up, sometimes they'll rear-end me and speed me up. And the reason you would normally turn drones off is so that you can engage the 60 FPS mode. And that's not going to automatically come on, and there's no keypad to enter in the code for it. It's usually like 60 pound. I'm also not 100% sure if this game features that or if it's just 2049, but a lot of the little secret codes in this game are the same. Other versions of Midway Arcade Treasures 3, I found a lot of invisible walls and especially ceilings that make my car explode, and that just didn't seem right. Alright. So I actually take a pretty boring path around this track. This game is all about finesse on the controls, and there are no crappy things like nitro or drift boosting to worry about. This is actually kind of a dangerous path I'm taking here. We're going to see if this works out. We're going to see if I'm capable of hitting this consistently tonight. I am not. So that ramp is designed to roll you. However, if you take it just right, you will get a level jump out of it. And the thing is, if you take it a pixel away from just right, just a pixel too far, you get a nice explosion out of it, and then that sets you way back. Now, like I say, I don't have a lot of arcade experience with this one, and this is the arcade ROM that it's running. You see a couple of shortcuts. I know those, I don't know how the building is, the purple building, but I do know those two sewage shortcuts are a big waste of time. There is nothing down there except for possible death. There are a couple of fun shortcuts this way, though, for when you get good. And I am not good, so I'm going to take the chicken out one, which is this one. The other one kind of goes along a broken road that runs underneath this. And there's a good chance I would die down there. There's also, of course, ways to come up here and slam on the brakes a little so I did not want to spin sideways. I did want to drop down, though. There is a kind of a cool stunt thing if you keep going straight from there. And on some versions of Midway Arcade Treasures 3 that I've tried that on, I've just exploded driving down that road, which is, I don't think, correct. I screwed that up. The reason I'm trying to cut off that big hill is it goes up and then it goes down again, and there's really no reason to do it, except there's a really sweet shortcut up there that I never pull off. You know what, I'm going to go for it on the next lap. Is there a next lap? Yeah, there's a next lap. So there are very few games out there that are as destructive as this one, in terms of you can pretty much count on, if you're new, your car blowing up around the track. And one that really reminded me of the Rush games, because we're never going to get another Rush game, was MotorStorm, the first game on the PS3. That really reminded me of San Francisco Rush, because San Francisco Rush at its core is about getting clean takeoffs on jumps. It's the skill you need the most in this game is just getting a clean jump. There are no wings like there are in the console ports of 2049. And speaking of console ports of 2049, oh, that gets to me. So this stupid Midway Arcade Treasures 3 it actually has the console ports of Hydro Thunder and Rush 2049 instead of the arcade versions, and that sucks. Now, what if in the other Midway Arcade Treasures games they had decided to say include the NES version of Rampage? I mean, that's like inexcusably bad for like a compilation of arcade games. Okay, we kill up here, fast but not too fast, too much angle, and kabloom. Yep, I didn't do it. But even when you land it, you have to land like 3 or 4 other kind of jumps up there. Not really jumps, but like ledges. And I am in last place. Awesome. We're going to do this track again. Now, one thing I've noticed about Midway Arcade Treasures also is that if you're too slow, you just finish the race in silence. And can somebody down below tell me if that's how the arcade version goes? Because that doesn't seem right. It just randomly stopped looping the music there. I suppose I could try bumping the radio button here and see if that helps. No, the only reason this is a high score is because the high score table is huge on this and I haven't filled it up yet. Sweet, my worst time ever. Let's do the same track, but extreme. Not the pickup. Maybe, no. I'm just going to go with the default one. And the color is purple, and I am going to turn drones off for this one. So you can turn drones off and get kind of a time trial mode. I know in other versions of this game that also means that you're playing against ghost cars, but it does not clearly appear to be that way in this version of the game. You know, I wish somebody with more experience with the actual arcade cab could comment down below and tell me how wrong I am for liking this game, but I guess it's my lack of wheel time here that I kind of dig the Gamecube version of this. Now, the Gamecube version of this is running in Nintendont in the Wii U, and Nintendont is kind of like I guess you'd call it an emulator. It kind of handles I/O and then uses the Wii's built-in backwards compatibility to do really good Gamecube. And it's all HDMI out at, well, exactly the clarity you see here, so it's not the clearest thing in the world, but it's not the worst. Alright, we're going to do the hill. Oh, jeez. Well, no worries about missing this corner. Flying off that corner is one of the things that I tend to do. I tend not to get a clean jump. Alright. Now I've looked into the internal menus on Rush 2049, and they're accessed by a button in the coin door, and then there's just a menu you roll through with like the view and music buttons and abort button. And there's all kinds of things in there, like you can crank the number of laps way up, you can crank free games way up. It actually looks like a lot of fun. You can adjust difficulty per racetrack, which I think is kind of nice. Because half the time I play this game, with Rush games, I am just in the mood for very lengthy races and just kind of zoning out. Oh, geez. Well, that worked out. A little bit of a frame rate hitch there. It's kind of weird because without the cars you'd think I could get some smoother frame rate. Especially since it's not doing 60 FPS mode, we're still at 30 FPS. Whoop. So it's the 29th today when I'm recording this, and apparently, well, the 4th is what I'm hearing for when my Rush 2049 cabinet arrives. And it's a gorgeous cabinet. It's got like a 27-inch VGA monitor in it, 5 speakers, 4 little satellites, and a woofer right in the small of your back. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's a force feedback game, and of course the wheel is going to allow much more precision. I wonder if that's why they chose the console version of Rush 2049 for this too, because these little sticks, they don't offer all that much precision. You have to be really kind of gentle on them. But Rush 2049, the console versions, had little wings that you could deploy and kind of... You couldn't really steer yourself, but you could reorient your car to make yourself land less fatally. And I think that was to compensate for the lack of precision on the control surfaces. And leaning off a little this way. Ah! I usually don't fail there. So I am seeing some nice background architecture that I don't remember from the N64 version, so it's probably not there. I know the 2049 has a lot of geometry off the course that just got simplified for the console versions. Also, since I've got an analog pocket, I did make an attempt to play Rush 2049 on Game Boy Color, and that was a mistake. Oh jeez. That's the wrong game, and I like isometric racers and San Francisco Rush, but the only things that they took from San Francisco Rush were the parts that didn't really matter at all. Alright, 524. Let's see how that looks on my high score chart here. I'm sure somebody down in the comments will actually tell me how much I suck and post up a real good time, but I'm just kind of playing this recreationally. Just to kind of chill out and get myself used to the whole mechanics of this game and jumping. Let's do the rock. And I'm going to go to advanced. Yeah, and we're going to play this one with drones. So these Rush games are also one of the very few arcade cabinets I can think of with a 3-pedal arrangement. So they actually have a clutch pedal. Now that's not mapped to the controller at all in Midway Arcade Treasures 3, and I've heard that in this particular game, the first Rush variants, it's best not to mess with the clutch, but supposedly it gives you a little speed boost when you do it right during your manual shifts, and it allows you to screwed that up. It allows you to fly farther in the air. At least that's what the attract mode on Rush 2049 keeps telling me. I have never tried it. Boop. And the reason for that is, as much as I love San Francisco Rush 2049 and loved it enough to buy one, I've really only got like 5 credits on it. I do have like 12,000 miles on the Dreamcast version, but no, I have not played much of the arcade version at all, except every time I did, I enjoyed it. So one of my goals for the new setup also is to get my Dreamcast somehow onto that 27-inch arcade monitor, so I can at least not be wasting all that much space. And wow, how did I survive that? I am no good at the rock. There's also this little musical number that goes with the rock, which I don't actually think they're playing right now. I think it's track 4. No, that is track 4. Yeah. It's like the guy says something like, "Who's that doing time on the rock?" or something like that. And obviously, if this version doesn't do it, I must be conflating it with the N64 version or the version of the rock that's in San Francisco Rush 2049. Now, as a kid, I always wanted like a Sega Naomi driver because of all the games I could switch out to. But as an adult, I realized there isn't a lot of replay value in a lot of those games, except maybe the Crazy Taxis and stuff like that. Whoop. Nope, that wasn't going to go well. So that's why I went with this one, because I can get kind of a pretty wide range of games between, without changing any hardware. I think I can get Rush the Rock into it. I think I can get that Off-Road Thunder into it. I think I can get the cruising games into it, and California Speed, which is basically a kind of a cruising game, but done by the team that does the Rush games. That's pretty cool. With a little bit of work, I bet I can get Hydro Thunder into it. All of those Atari/Midway games. It must have been weird at Midway, because as near as I can see, in the mid-90s they had 3 different teams doing arcade racing games all at the same time. And I actually got pretty familiar with the Atari Midway lineup in the early 2000s from boot camp. I was going through there after the September 11th, and it didn't occur to me until I was thinking about it just this year, but the reason they had all those Atari Midway games is probably because of how contracting works, and they were contracted to get a certain number of amusement games for the amusement place. And I think at the time there was probably only one arcade manufacturer in America, and that was Midway/Atari Games. And I keep saying Atari Games to differentiate them from Atari Incorporated. Whoop. So Atari Games was the arcade division. And they're the reason we're never going to see those Atari Lynx arcade ports on any of the Atari collections that come out. Like, you see these Atari collections, and they're all the super old stuff, right? They're like Centipede and Asteroids and Tempest, but they're not any of the middle-age stuff, the middle era of like the late 80s, early 90s, like your Zybots and your APB. Stuff like that, Hydra, all of those, Stun Runner, those were all of the Atari Games half. Let's go ahead and I'm actually just kind of chilling down here on the more basic tracks here. There's less cockpit load to kind of screw me up. Let's change the color around. Oh, we'll go with teal, because nothing says sports car like teal. Or I guess muscle car. It's kind of like a C2 Corvette inspired design. You can tell what they were going for. I'm gonna try for this one. I'm pretty sure I've gotten that on this little stream already. We'll try for this one, fine. Yeah, that gets me almost nothing except probably dead. Now, I don't think this version of the game has any, like, collectibles to pick up or anything like that. And that's something the Rush games use to really increase their replay value, is all of the collectibles and the unlockables for like mileage and coins and all that stuff, and you kind of track your account with a like a PIN number that you enter there. You know, I think on the next go around I'm going to try the shortcut that cuts off all that green space. So there's two ways to do it. There's the bad way, which kind of goes up this like narrow green ravine, and then there's the good way, which involves busting through a fence. And we're going to try the busting through the fence. I think I've tried it 3 times already on this stream and I have not gotten it. By the way, if you ever want to turn tighter in this car, you can dab the brakes a little bit, that helps, or you can slam it into reverse. By slam it, or mostly just tap it into reverse. If you hold down the brakes for too long, you will kind of lose the back end and it'll overtake the front end. And it will always put the car in a direction you didn't intend. Well, my corpse made it into the shortcut. Alright, let's take the version of the shortcut that sucks. It's up here, and there are a lot of ways to get this wrong. You have to kind of go slow through it unless you're like awesome, which I'm not. And then you come out here, and this is actually where the other version of the shortcut meets up with this. And there's a little spiral ramp that gets you killed. But it gets you killed in a way that is, you know, sweet jumps are awesome in their own way. Man, this game is just good. And I kind of priced this board set out. It's not too expensive. It's like a couple $100. I could get this game for my Rush 2049 cabinet. Of course, then it won't have the cool green bezel handle combination thing. I do love that. Now, I do like the Thunder games a little bit, especially Hydro Thunder, and I'd need to rig up some kind of a throttle boost button for that. That's kind of a neat game. The cruising games I was never the biggest fan of. Up until Cruise and Blast, and actually on my arcade vacation that I took in early December, visited 10 arcades, by the way. It was fantastic. But one of the arcades still had an older Fast and Furious Supercars, which is also by Raw Thrills, who do the cruising games. And they didn't have the cruising license, obviously, for that one, but that one felt, if nothing else, a lot more like an old school cruising game. Just in control and track layout. And it even had the dancing, smiling girls at the start and finish, and that just... It's nice to see little touches like that. I just get nostalgic for the rotoscope sprite ladies that are cheering people on and starting the race. But I kind of like California Speed. There seemed to be a little bit more meat to California Speed because it was done by the Rush team. At least I think it was. We will do this one. And... yeah, purple people. But the nice thing about California Speed, getting back to that, is the strategy is you can go over your top speed if you can trick somebody into rear-ending you. And I think you can do that in the Rush games too, but it's not as important as it is in California Speed. Because in California Speed, you're frequently at your max speed, so you definitely know where it is. And in San Francisco Rush, you're always still accelerating. One of these laps, I may try those sewer shortcuts, because it's not like this path over the top is really that much more survivable. Oh, I'm going to take the below path since I've already kind of screwed up my time. This path down here isn't so bad. There is just more stuff to get you killed on it, though. The path up on top is just easier. You got a couple more ledges, and ledges aren't hard. You just need to get a like a clean jump going. Because if you're tweaked like that, now you got to deal with that when you hit the ground. And if you're too tweaked, then you just explode. Or you dig in or roll, something like that. I am not going under there, but I'm going around here. Yay, I got a flat exit off of that one. Well, so because this game has a keypad and uses the arcade ROM, I think that if there are unlockables, we just can't. Oh, I want to see what's in this purple building since I suck here. And nothing. There's nothing in that purple building. My guess is if there were unlockables in this game, there'd be some kind of a coin or a key down there. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to take this bottom path again. I'm not going to do the jump. Other thing that's nice is you get to see these, the billboards in this game are largely kind of mid-90s arcade games. Like one that really stands out is in Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA. They've got all of these, like a third of the billboards are for Vapor TRX. Vapor TRX it's an arcade game that I've seen and played exactly once in my life, and I would have loved to see that on my little arcade trip, but I didn't see anything that old. Actually, I didn't see any Midway games. Granted, Vapor TRX is actually an Atari Games game, but Atari Games became Midway West there at the end, and then I was actually talking to somebody that did computer work for Midway in Chicago at one point. The wife introduced me to him. He's an old friend of the wife's, and he was actually talking about going out to Sunnyvale, which I believe is this studio that he was closing down out there, unless there was more than one Atari Games studio. That's just an interesting thing, and I wasn't a big Atari Games fan at that point. Oh, let's do this. Let's just go down one of these. And the path splits there, which gives you an extra place to die if you manage to stick the landing on that. And then if the paths hold true to the N64, one of those two leads to just a wall that kills you. That's not fun. This game provides sweet jumps, but more than enough ways for you to kill yourself. So getting back to other games that feel kind of like Rush games, I mean, obviously we've already talked about the first MotorStorm game. But Nitronic Rush is like a freebie game that was like a game development school project, it looks like. And if you haven't played that game, just go and find and download it. It's worth it. It's kind of like a cross between San Francisco Rush physics and kind of an endless runner on a mobile platform. So it's not circuit based like this. So the other half of my brain doesn't like it. Just the time trialing, and since it's point-to-point time trialing, it actually ends up feeling a little bit like Trackmania, and that's never a bad thing. Also, if you're allergic to free games, which I know I am, instead of Nitronic Rush, I've started playing Distance, and Distance is on Steam. It's by the same team, but it's a much more fleshed out game, and it's prettier. But it's also a lot, like, the art style is, at least in the campaign mode, is kind of dark, at least in the beginning. Let's do the same track again. I haven't done beginner. Come on, yellow. We need yellow.
3, 2, 1.
So the physics in this game go kind of wonky if you don't have all four wheels on the ground. And since the cars get kind of tipsy, you can actually lift a wheel off the ground without anything extreme like a jump. You could actually just in the course of steering, lift a wheel off the ground. Oh, I just Gran Turismo'd that guy. Punted him right off the track. So I was trying to jump over the top of that wall as I was coming across. This car, well, the way I'm driving today doesn't seem capable of doing that. This car may be capable of doing that. As much as they make a big deal out of the handling model, in the hand, there's really not the most obvious difference. You know what, screw it. I'm going to try, since I'm on beginner car, I'm going to try the big scary jump. Alright, not too fast, not too slow, not too far to the left, not too far to the right, and nope. Remember, making that first jump is just the first part of that shortcut. There are actually payoffs to be had, but you have to practice the heck out of that one. You know what, since we've kind of screwed up our time trialing here, and we're in the basic car, so we're never going to make it anyway, let's go and see if we can check out that stunt track. I don't remember if it's a stunt track or just like a loop or what it is. But we're going to check it out on the next one. Yep. And we're probably going to die doing it, just like everything else in this game. I still haven't pulled off the easy tracks actually viable shortcut yet. I think that's kind of a lack of concentration thing. So the nice thing about the Wii U and Nintendont running Gamecube games is not just the HDMI upscale, but you also get this it's compatible with the official Gamecube adapter for Wii U, and that's pretty cool. Oh, missed it. I was trying to come off there tweaked enough to the left to actually go down onto the lower roadway there. There's a couple of ways to do it. If you're taking it straight on, from what I understand, about 118 miles an hour is where you want to be going. Whoop, that was way too fast. But for the Broken Road Bridge section, 118 miles an hour will get you onto that road without crashing into the barrier below or the one above. But it always seems to work out a little bit better for me to tweak from right to left and get on the roadway that way. Oh. Okay, also the heck with this. We are slowing down. We are gonna take this one. Alright, so I'm pretty sure down there is death. Oh, jeez. And that's why I don't go through there, because I just suck at it. Oh, darn. I need to be on the upper road to go to the stunt track. Oh well. So the Analog Pocket, which came out like a week ago, and of course I don't care about it like I should because I bought a 650-pound Atari. But no, it actually does really well. I can't keep from playing the Analog Pocket. It has these neat simulation modes that simulate using the incredibly high resolution of the Analog Pocket screen to simulate the actual viewing modes of the different Game Boys, and it does such an incredible job. Like its resolution is high enough that it can draw in the subpixels that Game Boy Color uses to colorize things. It's amazing. Just a fantastic screen on that system. Jailbreak's not out yet if you're watching this sometime in the future, and I'll probably love that system a lot more if some mysterious stranger who definitely isn't Kevtris reverse engineers the whole thing and releases a jailbreak. Because from what I understand, it uses the same FPGA as his other recent systems, including the NT Mini V2, the Noir. And, I mean, there's got to be a reason it's got extra face buttons on it. Now, let's do the beginner here. I'm going to go extreme. Alright, let's get going here. At some point in this race, I'm going to try for that shortcut. I am honestly usually way better at hitting that shortcut, the actually good one. You know what, I'll try it on the first lap. Usually don't see people doing it on the first lap, but it's probably going to be easiest to hit on the first lap. When I was a kid, those God rays there impressed the heck out of me in the N64 version, and that's what happens when you hold the brake down. You know what? Screw it. For demonstration purposes, we're not going to reset the car. So learning how and when to use the reset or abort button is actually pretty key to this game, because things are going to go wrong. Yay! And that was the shortcut the good way. It's just that I did it very badly. Ooh. Let's do some other tunes here. No. Oh, I remember this one. Oh. So the high score table in this one is just based on total race time, so it figures 3 laps. But one of the things I liked about, I think it was Rush 2, is that it had a hot lap and then an average lap. Maybe 2049 did it too. But that gives an advantage to people running more laps, because your first lap's always your slowest, because you're starting from a stop in these games. And I really do like that whole mechanic. Also, I believe 2049 has unlockable cars for certain time trial times. I think it's like a per course unlock. Oh, I was also fishing around in the settings in 2049. I don't have the cabinet yet. I was fishing around in the main version. But I was noticing that there were settings for when it would delete players who haven't logged in after so many days, weeks, months. And unfortunately, it looked like the highest setting was 365 days. and that's kind of a bummer. So if I set up an account here and let it go for let it go for too long, then it's going to erase my game the next time it powers on. And that would suck. I don't know when it does that check. Probably at startup. So I'll have to remember to log into that thing once a year. Oop. Oh, I did this poorly. Oh. Did I win? Seriously? Well, okay, this has just been a nice little session here, and I'm actually going to go for some refreshment. So, guess until next time, Reaper Man out.